Welcome back to the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, everybody. This is your co-host, Tyler Yaw, and today I am with
Chris Kellum.
And our special guest today is
It's George from Surf City Smash.
Thank you so much for having us in your restaurant today. We appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you guys.
And so, if you can't tell the sign behind us, Surf City Smash is where we're at today. This is the very first of 3 podcasts that we're doing in Surf City. And special shout out to Brittany Lineberry, who's behind the camera today, to get all of this set up for us. This is starting to become an annual thing, and we hope to continue doing. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, what are we sipping on today?
So we got the chance to try this awesome Michter's limited release. I've seen them around, never got to try it yet. Have you tried it yet?
I've tried it, yeah. I've had every release since 2013.
Oh, wow. That's
Yes,
awesome.
so, yeah, this one was from last year. It's the 2014, 24, 20-year bourbon.
Ooh, yeah.
Very good.
So let's check it out.
Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
That is smooth. That's very good.
So for some, it comes in at 116 proof, which is a little much for some people.
I was going to say, yeah, it's definitely hot, but it's good.
Yeah. Well, so on the Michter side, and one thing I do like about them is that they always put stuff in the barrel at a higher entry point as far as their proof is concerned. Lower entry point, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Where other people water their stuff down at the end,
Right.
These guys enter their water in the beginning, which makes for a little bit bolder flavor, makes for a little bit richer, but it also costs them a lot more to be able to make their whiskey doing it that way. And I like to equate it to, like, if you make a pot of Sunday sauce and you add some water to those tomatoes in the beginning, it's going to get burned off. But then you could add more at the end, but now you're going to have a watery sauce. So that's the way that I look at it, and that's the way people come down. They'll go in at a higher, they can go up to 125 proof as far as an entry point, and then they water it down to bring it down to that point. But these guys, they go in at 103 and build its way back up. So it's a more expensive way, it gets a lower yield, but it has one of my favorite products ever.
Yeah, that's awesome. Out of all of the ones that you've tried, what was your favorite release?
My favorite all-time from them is, well, the 2013 20 years is just like one of the best bottles ever made. Yeah. But their most recent, well, it wasn't their most recent, their 25-year 2021 is incredible.
Wow.
Their 2000, I believe it was 14 or 17 25-year rye. Like, they have
That's
just,
right down my alley.
yeah, that's like, it's unbelievable. And they're both, and they're 116 proof, which you never see.
No.
So they could have easily watered them down to 100 and got many more bottles out of
Right.
it. But it's, what they do over there is pretty wild.
And 116, like we just talked about, like that's a pretty hot whiskey, but it was very smooth for being a 116.
Yeah, this
They did a good job.
Annually, it's one of the most anticipated releases. They actually don't release it every year. Back in the day, they had Willie, who was their master distiller. His name was Dr. No, because he wouldn't release a product if it wasn't right. So every year they have, we're going to release our 10-year, but a lot of years, their 10-year was actually 11, 12, 13-year whiskey because it wasn't ready yet, in their opinion. So they'd rather not produce a product than produce a less than stellar product.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So do you take that concept into business too?
Well, I do it. I don't know if you noticed, but we cook anywhere from 60 to 120 pounds of onions every morning. That's what you smelled when you walked in. And I take that and I use the same type of mentality where the only thing that's in there is onions, bacon, olive oil. There's no fillers. It's all reduced time. The joke is it's bacon, onions, and thyme. And my niece says to me, I never see you put thyme into it, but she thought it was THYME, but it's TIME. So we'll cook that thing. It says 3 hours, but we cook it for 10 hours usually, from 7 or 8 a.m. to like 5 or 6 p.m. every single day. And now we actually have a guy who cooks it overnight. So we have an overnight onion maker.
That's amazing.
To produce just because we've been so busy, thankfully.
So that's a great problem to have then.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Brittany was telling us about this place. One, unfortunately, because we don't live all the way up here, I don't visit it. But when she talks about food, it's good.
Oh, yeah. I always say trust the people that are fittest because they're the stingiest with what they put in their body.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
I already jumped ahead because I smelled food and I got really interested. But tell us how we got where we're at today. 'Cause I know you're not from Wilmington.
I am not a
area.
Surf City. I will be here 4 years this summer. I actually have a buddy, Ben Fowler, who is a whiskey friend through Instagram over the years. And I had never met him in person, and he kept posting videos of his dad who lives on the beach in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. And I said, that's where I want to live. And I took a look and went over there, and we almost bought a house in Atlantic Beach. And then someone said, check out Topsail Island, that they're building it up and expanding. And, it's becoming more for people that are living here full time as opposed to having more renters in the area. Yep. And we both came down here and we fell in love instantly. We sold our house before owning a house here. And I lived in Airbnbs all around town trying to find the right house and right area that we wanted to live. And now we're here full time and love it.
Yeah. Where'd you come from originally?
I lived in Brooklyn, New York for 30 years.
Okay.
And then we lived in Westchester County, which was about 20 miles outside of Manhattan for about 16 years. And then the last 4 years here.
Okay. That's
upstate.
Yeah.
Upstate. Well, are you from upstate?
It's the running joke.
From our second podcast on, we talk about people being in upstate New York.
Yeah. Got it. Well, and I joke
there
about that also because my friends that I grew up with thought I was upstate being 15 miles out. My wife is from Watertown, New York, which is the most upstate you could pretty much be without falling in the waters of Canada. So,
yes.
Yeah.
But that was the running joke because he is similarly from New York. I think he grew up in Long Island, just over Long Island, Brooklyn, moving towards the city. And I always ask that question. I'm like, what is your definition of upstate?
Yeah, and upstate is far.
Right.
Yeah. When the temperature drops 10 degrees, you're upstate.
Ooh. The way that his name was Thaddeus, who was talking about it, and he was like, if you go out far enough and you see cows, you're just in Pennsylvania for as far as I'm concerned.
I love that.
So when you came down here, did you have the dream to start Surf City Smash?
I did not. I was a full-service financial consultant for 30 years. I owned my own firm for 23 years.
Okay.
What happened was I was in a burger club that we rated and reviewed burgers all around Manhattan and Long Island. So when I was kind of the whiskey guy. So I was more on the whiskey end than the burger side. But I had made a burger at home, and I was doing I was on anything from Fox Business to NBC News. My clients would call me and say, hey, why are you on my TV in a New York City cab right now eating burgers? And they were just so confused by it. It was kind of like my alter ego. But it became a part of my life. So I had some followers on Instagram, and people would comment oh, I want to eat your burger that you make at home. So the burger that we serve here is the one that I made at home.
Oh,
and
nice.
People would contact me and be they would Google search, because I would call it Cafe Tape, as a joke after my last name. And people would do Google searches and try to find my house, which is they're looking on the geotag, which was funny. So we basically started teaming up with different breweries and charities. So this burger, I would go out and I would say, hey, you want to try this burger? It's $100 for a ticket. You get unlimited burgers, unlimited drinks at a brewery, but all the money's going to go to a charity of our choice. We teamed up with a company with Social Teas, which was a New York-based animal shelter, and they would save all different types of animals, not just dogs. Then we did New York City Bully Crew, which was pit bulls. Right. And we would raise anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 every single event we would do. It would
That's
just
incredible.
It was unbelievable, and it would just be a bunch of guys that like burgers, and I'd be cooking and we'd be drinking. Michter's would always bring us bottles. Blackstone was they were incredible partners, so to speak, because they would send a griddle to every location that we were doing.
No way.
Yeah, and I would build it and I would season it, and then I would have a Blackstone griddle. They'd come to my house and taken some videos, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Blackstone was such a big proponent of they loved what we were doing for the charities. And then our biggest one we did was I would cook for the Holy Apostle Soup Kitchen every quarter in Manhattan, and that would serve up to 1,600 people a day.
Wow.
And then we had some events that we did that that we would partake with those guys that raised over $100,000 for the soup kitchen.
Jeez.
There's the second largest soup kitchen in the U.S., and it was just unbelievable. So I gave away this burger about 10,000 times before we actually opened this place.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Really got dialed in then.
Yeah, you get to learn
awesome.
how to figure it out. We actually gave away 1,000 burgers in town before, we got delayed opening last summer. So during the summer of last year, I gave away 1,000 burgers.
Wow.
Just walking, where the police department needs 15 burgers, the next local business, how many do you want for lunch tomorrow?
Right.
So I was just cooking from my Blackstone at home and just handing them out.
That's awesome. That's probably the best marketing you could possibly do.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and they also know if they hate it right off the bat, they never have to go, but they don't have to try. But we've been so welcomed by this community. It's been incredible. We never had a winter. We opened in September, and winter never happened here.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's been unbelievable.
That
Very
is
cool.
something that I've noticed too, is the good businesses here don't have a winter. Like if you don't have a good product or you don't have good social skills and marketing, like you're super big fall off. But all the people that we've interviewed and all the places I've tried here have all been steady all year long, which is great to hear.
And you know, one of my wife's biggest complaints about living here is like every place that we eat will shut off like their online ordering when the tourists come in. So I promised her that I will not shut off online ordering, no matter how, we're ready. We're ready. You know, we've had a bunch of days where we've done over 1,000 burgers. I brought in a Philly cheesesteak that, that we've been making for, I've been making it forever, but it was something where I was just family meal for us here. And now it's become a staple. You know,
so you think it's like close to like a Patter Gino's, or is it something a little bit off of that?
Pat and Gino's, I feel like that's, God bless them. They do an amazing business, but that's not my type of cheesesteak. Yeah,
Fair
they do.
enough,
They do it. That's
Okay.
more of a tourist one. Go ahead, you can have your green peppers and your little dry pieces of meat at the end. That's not my thing. I love Angelo's Pizza. Angelo's Pizza's that's the one Philly cheesesteak that everyone should hope they could become. They bake their own bread, they shave their own beef. Like, they're unbelievable what they do. Yeah. And now they have Bradley Cooper.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. I do remember that.
So you guys, for those who don't know, this place has an amazing menu, and it's all very cut, dry, to the point. Did you do that on purpose, or are you just going to slowly expand?
It was a little bit of both. One was size-wise. We're probably the smallest restaurant in this town. We're only 1,200 square foot. I don't have a walk-in refrigerator.
Oh.
We were continuously, and then after Labor Day in this small town, they only deliver food to you Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So because they consider it
crazy.
the off-season.
Yeah.
And so I was, come Tuesday, I'm running out of stuff by the end of the day. So we would have to come back and say, all right, we've run out of food today, and post a sign, and just because we couldn't keep up with refrigeration-wise. And, but what's nice, starting now in this month, they deliver 6 days a week, for the busy season, considered for everybody else. But as far as the small menu, we're using a grass-fed, grass-finished beef, which I can bet
Very
that
good, yeah.
not more, within 25-mile radius, you're not finding someone else that's doing. You might find some grass-fed, but it's not grass-finished. And I know how expensive our product is, and it's similar to like the Michter's model. I wanted to put out the best product, try to make it reasonable. Our cheapest burger is $7.50. Our most expensive burger is $14.
Oh, wow.
There's people that order off of DoorDash, and then they say, "Oh my God, your prices are so expensive." I said, "Please just order online."
The
you
website.
can,
Good point,
you
yeah.
can buy 5 burgers for under $40. It's DoorDash just the pricing is insanity.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Yep.
but like they're the number one people I see that people order online off of. We're one thing that did surprise me. We're 60% to go here.
No way. That's crazy.
So that's one thing that caught us off guard when I first saw it. I should have just opened up a window on both sides of the place and a kitchen in the middle.
Oh, I forget about that you can go that way too. So the reason why I asked that, because I know prepping was a lot harder because I worked in a kitchen for a little bit, but do people realize that you guys shave the meats for the Phillies or the North Topsails?
Yeah, so basically every single day what we do is our meat is never frozen. We handball our meat every single day. We slice our own cheeses. We slice our pickles. And obviously, and then we make our own onions that, are taking us 10 hours. But Dawn is here, and then we have 2 other prep people that help us with that. But Dawn is here every morning by 6:30, and she is slicing 120 pounds of onions by hand. And, we're cranking out way more food from this tiny spot than we should be.
Yeah.
And to have a tight menu has helped. Like, I would love to have like a chicken parm sandwich, and like I have all these people that complain that we don't have lettuce and tomato and raw onion. I just don't have the capacity to do, and I tell people, I'm like, if you have something that you want on a burger, bring it in. I have the family that owns the Caldwells that are awesome people that they own the Burrito Shack in town.
Yeah.
They bring their own cheese. They have dietary restrictions. They bring a vegan cheese, or non-dairy cheese that they wanted to use. and I make their burgers for them all the time. I have 2 different families next door that they always go to Salt Marsh Market next door. They pick up their own sourdough, they bring it in, I slice it for them, I grill it, and I put the burgers on the sourdough for them. I'll do whatever you want.
That's awesome.
I'm just not going to carry everything.
Right.
I'm like, you kind of don't have the space for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. I'll show you guys around later. It's like you're going to look and be like, oh my gosh, you have to get on a ladder to get a sticker sometimes.
Right.
Yeah,
So you have, I guess, are you looking to expand sometime soon then, since you realized the capacity issue, or you just really like kind of where you're at right now?
without a doubt. Yeah, I'm looking to, I'm hoping to have 5 to 7 of these along the coast.
Oh, sick, yeah.
Just because I do want everyone to be able to try something that I find is to be a unique burger that, you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. Looking forward to try the first one here soon, too.
Oh, yeah, we open at 11.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
so
a few
excited.
minutes away.
In general, looking at all the stuff that you've come up with for your menu. Sorry. I'm a guy who thinks with my stomach, as you can tell by my physique. Where'd you come up with these names for like everything? Because I see like most of it's location-wise, but some of it's like people's names. It looks
Oh,
like.
yeah. My wife, even though she came up with the slogan, "Best buns on the beach," does not eat the bun. So we serve our signature Surf City Smash Burger that has our 3-hour caramelized onion bacon jam, our surfer sauce on it, our house sliced pickles. And it's just exactly the same way I've made it for her at home for 10 years. No bun, tons of pickles, and right on a plate. So that's the Sarah. The Riley is named after my yellow lab. She turned 11 on Christmas Eve. And that is just a plain, I see people do all these pup cups around town, so I wanted to do like a dog plate. So every dog comes in, they get a grass-fed patty for $3, no salt, no cheese on it, and they're getting probably the best meat they could find.
I was going to say, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible
that's
for
good
$3.
eating.
They can't make it themselves for that cheap.
No.
So it's just something that we love dogs, maybe a little bit more than we love humans. And so this is like, and I like to say in this community, like this town is so dog welcoming that if you don't have a dog, people look at you a little bit funny. Like, oh, did you used to have a dog? They'll ask you, kind of thing. Yeah, like you plan on getting a dog, but this is the most dog-friendly beach I've ever been to. And that was a big difference for us from living here and then living like at a Wrightsville that doesn't allow dogs year-round.
Right. Which is so lame.
Yeah.
So looking at the menu, what's the number one thing that you get on there?
My favorite thing is the single Surf City Smash Burger.
Okay.
I could eat a double. I just prefer the single because I could put just as much of the onions and sauce on a single that I can on a double. Right. And I want to have, I'd rather eat 2 singles than 1 double. That's just my preference. And then the Surf Philly, our Surf Philly, I bring in the bread, I bring in the meat from Philly. It's our our caramelized onion bacon jam, and then I use a Cooper's cheese, which is a sharp cheese that we bring and slice ourselves every morning, and we put 4 ounces of cheese on our cheesesteak. It's like the cheesiest cheesesteak in town. I like to say if I can't throw it against the wall and have it stick, I don't want it. But I can't eat the whole thing, but without taking a nap afterwards. So I'd rather, if I could eat anything every day, it would be a single Surf City Smash Burger and half of a Philly.
It's a good combo there.
I know what I'm asking for.
Right.
Which one are you going for?
Oh, I'm definitely going to Philly.
All right, there we go.
Question
Yeah,
about it.
and then we also have, there's a guy, Bill, that works here. He helps me run this store. Since day one, has been a great ally, friend. I play softball with his wife. That's how I know him. And another unique thing, so we have a Mr. Bill's Patty Melt that's named after him. That's our grass-fed burger, cheeseburger on a grilled cheese. And we use Martin's potato buns for and we lost Chris on on his last gulp right there. I like that, taking him out. But we use our Martin's potato buns for our burgers. Good. And then I like to put my signature move where we toast the top of the buns as opposed to the inside of the buns, and then we salt them and we finish them with a little bit of salt. Oh. And then on the Mr. Bill's Patty Melt and grilled cheese size, we use Martin's butter bread.
Okay.
And that's kind of been my go-to for as far as a grilled cheese has been concerned.
Nice. Why toasting the top of it then?
For someone that rated and reviewed burgers for so long, I kind of became the guy that would say, "Oh, this is a great patty, but you need to change the bun." I've actually had major chains change the bun that they were using based on a review that I love, which was
awesome.
incredible to me. A little guy I'm just like an Instagrammer back in the day. There was no influencers back in the day when we were doing that, but we influenced bun. It was great. We have a buddy, he named himself Johnny Buns, but he doesn't know anything. He just has good hair.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything about the buns. But I was such a bun snob that it became like a thing. Like I'm like, hey, this burger's great, but you should maybe want to tweak. You know, people do those big brioche buns and they get all excited about it.
Yeah.
And it just takes over. You know, it overwhelms what the burger should be all about.
So you probably influenced Dave Portnoy to do the one bite pizza test.
Well, you know, in my I love the one bite, but Dave did steal one of my Instagram was Booze and Burgers, AND.
Yeah.
So he started a show on Booze and Burgers with an N. And he did it with Glenny Balls, who you know, who has since left them. And I've met Glenny in public, and I was like, dude, you just basically robbed my name. And I did a post with a picture of him and I am like the original and then the imposter. You know,
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I put it on, I'm like, yeah, dude, you're the imposter trying to be me.
Right.
But yeah, Glenny didn't do well. He doesn't know, which is funny. He doesn't know anything about food.
Right.
Doesn't know anything about food. Doesn't know anything about beer. He's like, I'm gonna drink this brown liquid. That was kind of like his review.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't know what he was doing, but seemed like a nice guy.
Right. It's always better to have the original anyway. So.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about all the fun things. Go ahead.
Financial industry.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned about finance as you come into the restaurant industry more and more?
Yeah. So, you know, my only concern is the bottom line. You know, I want to put out the best product, but also you need to make it worth your while. But the thing I love the most here is that we now employ 43 people in this town in this little spot. And
that's impressive.
We have, you know, I have 16-year-olds that are making, you know, the one that just walked in, that they're making over $20 an hour, and they're loving life, and you know, I think I have the highest payroll in the whole town. At any given time, we have 12 people that are working here for this little tiny spot, because I didn't realize I would need a bag person, someone to just wrap burgers and wrap Phillies and then put them in a bag. And, you know, so there's positions that became created after we started working.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm like, then we'll just bring food out to people. But no, that's not the case.
That's interesting.
You know, and the other thing I love is that we have 4 groups of moms and daughters and dads and sons that work here.
Oh, no way.
Which is just like unbelievable
Just
to have
have
like a
That's really
family,
cool.
because I grew up in Coney Island on the boardwalk selling hot dogs. You know, I always say, you know, I used to stand there all day and yell out chicken, shrimp, French fries, hot buttered corn, all beef franks, cotton candy, all day long to people walking by. And I worked there. It was my uncle's store, and my dad worked there. My sisters worked there. My brother worked there. So I know, like, working with family, how crazy it can be. And like, you know, everyone's just poking the next bear kind of thing, walking by. And if a family member messes up, like, I don't have to say a word. Like, the parents jump all over them, like, give them a little, what do you think you're doing? So I don't have to say anything.
It's
in
a
front
win-win
of
right
there. Yeah, win-win.
So in your past career, you're working with a different Blackstone, and now you're working with the Blackstone Grills.
That's true. Yeah, we went from Blackstone owning all the mutual funds and the Dodgers to to working with griddles.
No, not a bad change.
That's it.
So, one, I don't cook very often. You can ask my wife. But I do like some good food. Why do people, is it just the best way to cook a smash burger is on a griddle versus an actual grill? I've always been curious about that.
Well, the number one thing is you can't really smash on a grill because it'll fall through.
Okay.
But the way that you could sear and render fat on a burger on a griddle is the most, you know, everyone says, oh, you know, I go to a steakhouse, I got this beautiful char on it. Well, you got the char because of the heat, the indirect heat that's being placed on it, and then the way that it's being seared, you know, seals in all the moisture, brings out the fat content, and it's able to render down. And then the easiest way to explain it is if you take butter and you leave it in a pan and you keep cooking it, it has those brown edges around it just from a piece of butter. And that's exactly what you're getting from the fat rendering down that in the meat that's creating it. And it's basically, I like to say it seals in the juices. Some people don't, but that's the way I like to think of it.
I like it.
Yeah. Why have all the goodness fall through to the griddle? And yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
That's why
So
I have to ask the silly questions.
I guess the big question for a lot of our listeners, since they are mostly from Wilmington, when's the Surf City Smash coming down to Wilmington?
It may not be well, but you know, I've looked in Porter's Neck, I've looked in Hampstead. You know, I would ideally, because I live in North Topsail, I'd love to have one on the island first.
Yep.
that one wouldn't be a year-round one because I don't know if I told you, but we've worked here 7 days a week since September when we opened, and I've missed 3 days so far. Yeah, so
dedication.
Yeah, my knees hurt. I just bought another pair of new shoes, trying them out. See, I'm 50 years old doing this, so it's man, I don't know how much long of a run I have working 360 days a year, but I do want to get closer to our base that comes here because I don't get any business from the island being so close to it, which is so strange, and living there. Like, we have on Facebook, we have almost 10,000 likes and follows, and I saw the other day 79 of them live in North Topsail, where I live. 79, like everyone is from Sneads Ferry and Hampstead and Holly Ridge, and then we do have the girl Lauren Suitcase has been super kind to us, so she has brought in. She likes our cheesesteak, likes our burgers. Her husband, the first time he came here, ate 5 burgers. And they have brought in so many people, and we're so thankful for them giving us shout-outs and continuously. And it's been unbelievable for, the Wilmington crowd that comes here on like, hey, you're our Sunday drive. We wanted to try it out, which is amazing.
That's awesome. You got a good burger when you have people coming 30, 35 minutes.
I know, we have so many people from Jacksonville. We have this guy Joel that comes from New Bern with his wife. It's unbelievable. Yeah, and he's hoping for a New Bern restaurant. That's why he keeps coming in here, piece by piece. Yeah.
So, why would we put one in New Bern if we already have you coming down here?
That's it.
Because my brain has already jumped. I looked at the menu walking in, and I see that you have desserts, and it says ask about your daily ice cream.
Correct. So
Chris would notice the desserts right away.
Of course, I noticed that.
Yeah. So my favorite ice cream sandwiches are a company called Nightingale.
Okay.
It's a husband and wife team out of Richmond, Virginia, and I had a ton of them. And I love them all, from their banana pudding one to their cookie monster. They're all incredible. Their key lime pie one is great. However, since I introduced the Philly cheesesteak, I had to get rid of them. Like, people say to me, like, yeah, because it takes up all of my freezer, all of my, I just don't have enough refrigeration. And then people say to me, same thing, like with the lettuce and tomato and the onions, oh, you could just easily do it. Well, I wouldn't get rid of my ice cream sandwiches if I could easily do it, because they're incredible.
Yeah.
One thing that is good, that Salt Marsh Market next door, and also with Salty Turtle next door, they all now carry that ice cream sandwich from Nightingale, and it's the best ice cream sandwich you'll ever have. I would take it home and I would cut it in 6 and say, and I would eat all 6 slices. So I was like, I thought I was going to ration it out, but it's the best.
Never rations.
No.
We're going to have to go and try those out now.
Yeah, they're great.
I mean, based on all the drinking we do during the episode days, we'll need something to kind of cut that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Need some stuff to lessen the
A
load.
little bourbon, little Philly cheesesteak, little burger, and a little ice cream. Never hurt anybody.
Nah, not at all.
I do have someone that makes us our little logo cookies. Those are one of our desserts that we have. It's this guy Ricky that works here, a buddy of mine. His wife Kim Shook. She makes all of our sugar cookies. They're pretty cool. And then I have a local baker that I bring in our donuts every single morning, and we pretty much sell out of donuts every single day. Yeah, or
That's
I
incredible.
give away. I love giving them away too.
We have Brittany in the background going, they're so good. They're so good.
Yeah, it'll make you feel good. Yeah, they're good stuff. But I would love to have more desserts. Scoops ice cream, I'm a huge fan of them. They're local to here. And I would love at some point, similar to the way that I make my burger buns, I've tested and made my own ice cream sandwiches using their ice cream. And it would basically be, it's on a sweet roll, like either a Hawaiian sweet roll or on the Martin sweet roll. And I butter and sugar the top instead of salting it. And a scoop of their ice cream in it on a warm bun. It's incredible. But again, I don't have the room right now to do that.
It's always good to have the problem, too many ideas and not enough space, and just grow right on into it.
Yeah, like my chicken parm is pretty good. I make a great like filet mignon with the onions with fresh mousse sandwich that, like, I could taste it right now. And you said a little, I'm like, it's incredible, but I just don't have the capacity to do it.
Have you always loved cooking? Has that been like a passion of yours since the get-go, or is that something you grew into?
Yeah, so my dad is off the boat from Greece, and my mom is from Italy. And so I had the best of both worlds.
Just in your blood.
Yeah, it was best of both. And I would tell my mom, like, hey, you have all the recipes, and then I perfect them. Even when I was a kid, she used to make a shrimp with feta and dill and rice, a dish, like for my dad, a Greek dish. And I switched it to orzo instead of rice, and I like the dish, and she even likes it
Yeah,
better.
so that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, see, look at that. And so we still make that. You know, my mom passed like 22 years ago, and we still make it every year for Christmas Eve, and that's like everyone's like kind of one of their go-to dishes that we do. And a lot of the moms that I grew up with in Brooklyn, New York, were just such great cooks that they all get a little shout out every Christmas Eve. I'll make their dish. So
That's neat. Love that. That's always kind of part of the cooking stories that I hear when people become like chefs and just like really dive into it. There's always something personal behind it that kind of brings out the passion in them that makes them want to continue doing it further.
yeah, I have a buddy, Freddie, that when I told him I was opening a restaurant, he said, oh my God, are you going to have your seared scallops? I'm like, something seared, but completely opposite. Yeah.
Completely
Yeah,
different.
he's having them at my house. He's like, those are the best scallops I've ever had. So I'm like, all right, I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh. So we talked about your past a little bit, and you've gone through kind of multiple phases of life with the financial industry, rating burgers all over, and then now having your own business. But my question is, what does success actually look like for you?
It's kind of, so for someone like myself and my wife, we don't have any kids.
Okay.
So I kind of I just want to leave a mark somewhere, I guess. Financial world, one thing I liked about New York, you're never in the best shape. There's somebody always in better shape than you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you always had somebody. You never will make the most money of any. Someone's you could do very well in New York and living like the low end of the rung kind of thing. Yep. And so you're not going to stand out in any capacity or leave a legacy in any capacity. I did start a pizza and burger spot in 2015. I'm no longer involved. We were bought out in 2019, and now there's 24 locations, and I kind of find that to be cool.
Oh, wow,
And
yeah.
if I could do something like that with this, and pictures of my godson and my dog, and have them all around the states, it would be incredible to me.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, so that's kind of what that's the goal. I would
Yeah.
love to have the name go on. My niece drew the little logo guy on a napkin about a
sweet.
year and a half ago, and it really is a family run and friends run business.
Yeah, that's neat. I love the logo too, so she did a great job.
Yeah.
Props.
The original photo hand drawing one is lit up in the bathroom.
Oh,
That
no
she
way.
made. Yeah, so
That's
that's right
cool.
next to actually Brittany's photo in the bathroom.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, it's not of Brittany. It's one that she's taken.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, Brittany. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Oh, my gosh.
that's funny.
No, I keep seeing, like, videos from people who are, like, they walk into a bathroom and it's just a bunch of people, like, making faces because they blew up the toilet. So it's like, oh, or,
I've seen that.
So that's what I was picturing.
Oh, that is funny. Well, in the
There you
bathroom,
go.
there's Brittany took a photo, an awesome one at the Surf City Pier that we have in there that she had framed for us. The one with the logo for my niece, and then all of my dog's best friends from the beach. So Riley's
Oh, that's
best
great.
friends from the beach there's photos of them on the beach in the bathroom.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So after looking forward a little bit to take a look back, if you were to tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
My thing would have been to move to North Carolina 8 to 10 years sooner.
Oh, yeah.
And I will never, ever regret where I grew up. I loved it. I wouldn't want to grow up there. I wouldn't want to raise someone there now.
Right.
But once I moved here, I realized that there is a much easier way to live in a beautiful setting with great people.
Oh, yeah.
And, the wildest thing, and I tell people, and no one can believe it, the first year we lived here, our electric bill at our home, and our home was 200 square feet smaller where we lived for 17 years,
Oh, yeah.
was $8,000 less the first year.
Oh, my God.
And people don't believe it, and to the point where I thought I was stealing electric from my neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Is this okay?
Does this look right? But our electric bill, and everyone who lives in New York says, oh, well, that's how much electric costs. But apparently it doesn't cost that much.
Oh, wow.
Our electric bill was anywhere from $600 to $1,150 a month
Wow.
living in New York. And I tell people, when you're coming down here, don't look at the taxes. Don't look at your bottom line.
Yeah.
Your bottom line is so much different and what you need to make to survive and live comfortably here than it is in that state.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why I saw a report yesterday. Everyone's still fleeing and continue to flee.
Yep.
People are listening to their friends, and some people like me, the friends and family haven't followed us. I'm like, if you want to live easier and awesome and like walk the beach in the morning and watch
Yeah.
the sunrise, come on down.
Yeah.
Well, not all of you. But
Yeah, so just my favorite people.
yeah, just the
I love it.
I'm originally from Pennsylvania, it's the PA, and I came down too, and just like you said, like the taxes and everything else, it's just, you can live such a better life down here with just, I guess the other part too is it's so fast paced. The further up north you go, it seems like. And so coming down here it was an adjustment too, because like I was used to like everything being done like right away. You don't necessarily get that down here, but you kind of get accustomed to that like way of life. That's like, hey, you know what? It might take an extra day. It's like, but you also get the extra day too.
Yeah, so when we came down, we renovated our house, and it took 18 months of something I thought would be 3 months.
Yep.
And then when we opened this spot, it ended up taking 9 months.
Oh, really?
Just because it's different. Like, you know, we rented this space, and they're like, yeah, everything's fine. And like, there was no running water.
Oh.
So we had to get permits to rip up the backyard first, rip up the sidewalks in the back. And last June and July, what my plumber says is I was the only owner he's ever seen dig the trench with him. So we dug the trench from the back all the way to the soda machine.
Wow.
In the front, and it was hot. There was no air in here. Like, there was no air conditioning, no electric. It was awful.
Jeez.
So, yeah, we sweated out some pounds that day, he and I, but now here we are.
Literally blood, sweat, and tears. In
Oh,
this
yeah.
place.
Well, speaking of one thing, and, you know, I do get welled up a little bit. Is my dog being old, she would always sit under the Blackstone with me. And, you know, and she was smart to do so. Sometimes I would drop stuff on purpose, sometimes on accident.
Right.
You know, she's a yellow lab that sheds. And when we were building this spot, and before they put all the floorboards back in and the trim, I took all of her hair and I put it underneath the griddle, and then we put so she'll always be underneath that grill when I'm cooking in this location.
Oh, that's cool.
It'll always be like my favorite spot to be, you
Right.
know, and, you know, hopefully we have like 5 more years of her, but
Right.
Yeah.
well,
That's
you know,
sweet.
Yeah, that's my baby girl.
That's awesome.
Because we are at the end. Can you give a shout out to whoever you want to, and let everyone know where to follow you guys on socials?
Yeah, you know, one thing I would like to do is I'd love to give a shout out to all the families that have helped me here, that work here, you know, from Bill and Nikki that like put in their blood, sweat, and tears, and they bring the job home with them when they shouldn't be bringing the job home, and I know that they care so much. Dawn, that cares so much. Like, there's so many great people that work here that care about this business doing well. It's just unbelievable. I'd love to give a shout out also to like Salty Turtle,
Oh, yeah.
and Hidden Ships have my QR codes inside of their place, and we deliver right to them.
Oh, that's
They've
fantastic.
been a partner since day one. They said, we want you in here. We do, you know, I want to thank them for doing that. For, you know, they didn't have to do that, and, you know, it's a great little partnership. You know, they don't ask me for anything. It's unbelievable what they've been able to do. And then my people next door at Salt Marsh have always supported us since day one. So you could find us on Instagram at Surf City Smash. Pretty much on every platform, we're Surf City Smash. We're not Smash Burger, which everyone likes to call us, even though they do. We get about 6 people a week that come in that they ordered from the Raleigh Smash Burger because they just talk into their phone, and they like, yeah, I talked to you on the phone. Well, we don't have a phone. There's no phone at this location, so if you made a phone call to put in an order, that wasn't to us. Yeah, we are Surf City Smash. We are located at 100 Charlie Medlin Drive in Triton Village, right next to Salty Turtle. And then you can find us, you know, drinking whiskey at Booze and Burgers on Instagram. That's my personal stuff. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'll
so
have to
that's
find
all
you on that, too.
I chug some 25-year Michters right out of the bottle. People find that interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for bringing this too. It was incredible. I liked it a lot.
And also, I have to give a shout out to my wife, who owns this place. Otherwise, she would kill me. So that's the Sarah. Come on in and get the Sarah. You know, eat a burger without a bun.
That's perfect. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thanks for Brittany for setting this up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Britt. Cheers. All right, you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Cheers. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.